we're not going to waste any time getting into it today because right off the chute, joining us is the head coach of the two-time defending CAA champion Towson Tigers. He is head coach Shawn Nadelen, and he is with us this morning here on the College Lacrosse Preview Show. Coach, it's Glenn and Patrick. It's great to see you as always. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Always a pleasure. Appreciate you having me on.
Obviously, perfect lacrosse weather, so I know we're getting fired up. You're getting ready to start the season this week, but Coach, I know Patrick has all the lacrosse questions. I have to ask the hard-hitting journalism questions before we do that. And the biggest one that jumps out to me, are you ruining mesh uniforms in lacrosse? Are you officially killing mesh uniforms forever? Are they dead? Will we never see another mesh uniform in the future of lacrosse, Coach?
Fashion cyclical. It always comes back around. Just like lacrosse. There's some people will slide for years, and then some people won't slide in defensive packages. So it's all cyclical. We're doing our best to stay ahead of the curve.
I don't know, man. This one's hurting me. I had not thought about it once, as you saw, until I saw that poke up on Twitter last night, and I said, wow, I guess there really are no more mesh lacrosse uniforms at this point.
We still have the gold mesh, so don't worry.
Okay. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Thank you, Coach.
Those are forever.
I appreciate you letting me know that. Coach, obviously, it's been a really good last couple of seasons, and I would assume the goals remain the same, that you want to get there, and then there's that proverbial next step that you want to take in making a deeper run into the NCAA tournament. What does it require for a program to be able to do that? And I realize it's not easy, right? I understand that you're talking about the best teams in the country that you're going up against and giving good fights to, but what does it take as a program to take that proverbial next step?
Yeah, there's no doubt we want to elevate, the success that we've had over the past few years and continue to build upon it. It takes a committed group of young men, and these guys have done a terrific job, over the past few years, guys that are juniors and seniors to understand what it's taken to get to the CAA championship game, to earn that win, to battle in NCAA tournament games, but also that's not enough, So again, it's being a little bit, just more dialed into your preparation, understanding that the little things become big things, and that you just need to invest every day into maximizing what you get to do. Whether that be if we are having practice or not having practice, it's a day to get better, and I think our guys have done a good job attacking that.
Shawn, along those lines, you've had obviously another run in the 2010s where you guys were either in the tournament or knocking on the door every single year, it felt like. Do you see some parallels with how this thing has built up over the last couple years with the success that you were able to have, even culminating with that Final Four run?
I do, and I think it comes down to consistency on a couple of fronts. Consistency in our players and the level of young men that we're getting as far as talent, but also their motivation and their commitment to that championship effort and championship mindset that we like to have here at Towson. And you couple that with some pretty high level. Or not a couple, but a team that has some pretty high level talent on it. You look back at the kind of mid 2010s, where we had some really high level talent. These past few years, we've had some pretty strong talent as well. So you mix that championship mindset with strong talent, and obviously that can take you pretty far. And the consistency within our staff, I've been blessed to have. Not a lot of turnover on my staff over my career as a head coach, and I think that speaks to our players being able to get a heavy dose of consistency and expectations from what we're doing as a program.
Coach Shawn Nadelen from Towson with us on the College Lacrosse Preview Show. Coach, I was just recently over there having this conversation with Pat, and he deals with has talented players. The entire country wants after him, and he's got to figure out how to keep him around. I don't know how much you deal with that, but when I think about a Mikey Wisehour, I would assume that every program on the face of the planet would like to try to poach him away from you. Is that something that you've had to deal with in your team? And what does it say that a kid like that has remained committed to your program?
Mikey obviously is a great talent and very deserving of the attention that he gets and has earned. And I think it just speaks to our program and the culture that we have. Again, players want to be a part of Towson Lacrosse, and it's because they're in a culture where we're committed to again that championship mindset, not just champions on the field but off the field, and they know they're going to be pushed, they know they're going to be challenged, but it's for them to become better. And it's not just him, there's other players, but again, we're fortunate that our university has a strong reputation as well as our program. And I feel that players want to be a part of it, and as there could be attractions elsewhere, but the strength within our program solidifies it.
Joaquin Villagomez had 60 goals or so over his first couple seasons. Missed last year with injury. I know he was on the mend by the time the season had ended. How's he doing? How's he looking? And how much does he enhance your offense now that he's back on the field?
He's looking strong. Again, he's a big presence out there. It's fun to see the dynamic between him and Mikey. Just kind of different players. In the same position at attack. You got Mikey, who everybody's aware of. Obviously is explosive and quick and fast, and a dynamic lefty. Joaquin's kind of the exact opposite. He's 6'6". He's physical, puts his shoulder into you, imposing, strong righty outside shot. So it's fun to see those two guys kind of balance the field down there. But Joaquin has had just such a just hunger to get back on the field, dealing with his injury last year. We were expecting him to be back, and it just didn't work out that way. And even when he was back full go and cleared to play at the end of the season, like it looked like he was in midseason form because he was just so ready to be back on the field and want to, be an impact for our program. And we're seeing that. We saw it throughout the fall and then seeing it through the preseason as well.
There's a part of me that wonders if you have enough balls to go around almost, because then in his stead, you had Ronan step up a year ago and become a 40-goal scorer. Like, I would assume that this goes into the good problem to have kind of category, that you have so many capable goal scorers going into this season.
It is, and we're not going to get away from our philosophy of everybody doing their 1/6 in the offense, and we're going to share the ball. And I think the beauty to what you're speaking of is that whoever has the ball in their stick, can be a pretty dangerous threat, and hopefully that makes defenses have to worry about all of us a little bit more than just a few of us.
On defense, Elijah Smith, one of your key returnees. I know he was an LSM for a bit of his career, starting close defenseman last year, and a preseason all-conference pick. Just how has he kind of developed over the last year or so, and especially with Joe Petro having graduated, how important a piece is Elijah going to be for you this season?
It's pretty impressive for a young man from Nebraska to be able to do what he's been able to do, and a ton of credit to Elijah for committing to the stick work that needed to go into it, the understanding of what we're asking of him defensively. He played a lot of long stick midi, transitioned him to close defense middle of the year last year. Coach Grossi's done a terrific job working with him to get him to understand the nuances between the two positions and put him in position to be successful. So he expects a lot of himself, which I think is a big part to a young man's development and an ability to get better. And he's a competitor, brings a lot of energy. He's got a loud voice on the team, and he's a guy that's definitely worked himself into the role that he's currently in, and we're excited for that.
You haven't purposely sent your staff out to see if there are more like kids wandering around Nebraska that might be able to like pick up a stick and figure this out, have you, because of it?
Not this time of year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Find them outside getting after it, but there's no doubt we're always looking under every rock. For sure.
You have to make some. I know your top specialists, some guys that are departed, unfortunately, there, and you have to make some changes. Let's start at the face-off dot. Kai Lopez has some experience. Is he the guy coming into the season?
Yeah, Kai's done a good job, kind of solidifying himself so far that he's going to kind of lead us off there. Replacing a guy like Matt Constantinides, who was a 4-year starter for us. Took the lion's share over 4 years. Is a void, but it was something that Kai and Miles Kwan and Austin Welch have been able to learn through and compete against. So Kai's done a really strong job. He's so athletic. He's a guy that is not just a threat at the X, but a threat with the ball in his stick, as well as our other face-off guys, and that's something that we want to work into our advantage as well, and be able to do that. But Kai's not just a one-trick pony at the X. He's able to be, he's able to counter. He's able to throw some different moves out there, and he's ultra competitive.
And I wanted to get into the goalie situation too, since we're talking about specialists. And Luke
Mhm.
Downs, another guy who graduated, Matt Nyland, got a start last season and played solidly in the handful of games he was in there. Is he kind of the favorite at this point to be starting for you guys come Sunday? And what does that competition look like right now?
Yeah, we've been fortunate to have very strong competition in our goalies, throughout the time that I've been here. And Matt's been a great second in line to Luke Downs, especially the past couple of years. And Matt's had a few starts under his belt and stepped in and done really well. And I think he's really embracing his opportunity now, to lead it. And he's the guy that has showcased. To kind of take the reins at this point, and we're excited about that because he's worked hard at it. He always comes in, trying to understand where he can be better, how he can improve. He's a great young man. He actually emceed our kind of kickoff face-off event this past weekend. He's got a big personality that shows on the field. He's got a great voice to the defense, and expects a lot out of himself as well. So it's something that I think has really helped him solidify himself. But we got a really strong core of goalies that are right there with him, pushing him as well.
That's really cool. That's a really cool story. Other newcomers that you feel like are ready to step in and see some serious minutes for your team.
Yeah, we got a lot of opportunity for guys. So you're looking at, defense, close defense. There's going to be, two new starters there, new starter at long stick midi. Yeah, kind of Nick Sweeney at the long stick, and Nick Chan kind of fighting for long stick midi reps there. Um, and at the offensive midfield, we graduated 2 5 years on our starting line, so that opens up opportunity for guys like Owen Scott, who was on that first line, but more of I'm gonna play off of Chop and Josh Weber, taking a little bit more of a prominent role there into the mix. Matt Burnham, kind of getting into the mix as well, and Alex Roussel, who's been a midi and attackman for us, over that. Freshman wise, we got guys like 10 11, Roman Dodson, Trevor Phipps, kind of getting into the mix as well, and showing some promise as freshmen.
Get that opener on Sunday against North Carolina. How was it important to you to have a big name there to get everybody excited, whether it's your fans or your players or just everybody in general, to start off the season with?
It's not so much to get people excited. It's more for our program to, have great competition, and be able to, step on the field and see where we're at against a strong team. And it worked out. Coach Bresci and I have been talking for a few years, trying to get something on the books, and it kind of worked out this year. I'm glad that he was willing to work with me. I just something about me. If we started on the Saturday of that weekend, it would have been a January game. I was like, Coach, something about me. Just I feel like if we're gonna have a game, can we make it February? So February 1st, it is, and he was great with that. Again, it's going to be a beautiful lacrosse weather.
No
There's snow
doubt.
on the ground, so that's mean it's lacrosse season.
That's exactly the way it works.
I mean, it's fair to point out, like, we're only 20 years removed from March 1st being kind of early, right?
Is
Like,
that, by the way, is that legit that like you legitimately wanted to play the game on February 1st because you were just opposed to January lacrosse?
100%.
So
Yeah,
wild.
yeah. 100%.
That
So
is
it's just because it's a Sunday. It's
Yeah.
like they got a Saturday game following, but yeah. Again, I think we're doing a disservice, to really the fan base, and people coming out to watch the games. I was fortunate as a player. We started in March, and I was able to draw more and stuff. And as far as attendance, I think it's going to take a lot of guys smarter than me, and a lot of work to see if we can shift it. For that, it's not safe, as well as just people don't want to be out when it's 20 degrees with a 10-degree wind chill and all that good stuff. It's um again, it's what it is right now, and we're all kind of in it. But I wouldn't be surprised if some conversations come up down the road to try to shift some things.
I appreciate that. I know one of the good news is all the home games on TV this year for Towson fans. So if you're not going to be sitting out there in those wind chills, you do have the opportunity still to watch the game on Monumental this Sunday.
Yeah.
And then I have to ask you something before I let you go, Coach, because I was looking at your all's roster page, and I recognize that like this could have been created digitally, but I need to know if every player on this team owns a tiger stripe blazer now somehow. I need to know if there's a story behind this because
It's sharp, right?
it's the coolest
sharp.
thing I've ever seen. Is this real or is this digital?
I'm not sure if every player owns one of those blazers. That blazer does exist. I haven't asked the guys. I think they just traded off the same jacket, and
Okay.
everybody
All right.
took a picture in it. And I went through when I saw that. And I didn't even realize the guys were doing it. And when I saw it, I hit up the staff. I was like, "We got to retake our headshots.
100%.
We got to get in these things as well, and get our headshots redone with the Tiger Blazer. And then become part of the team that way.
They look amazing. They look
I love 'em.
amazing. Maybe if there's like a Final Four run, then everybody does get a tiger blazer or something. We'll have to figure out the way that
I
works.
love that our guys did that. That's
It's really
they got
it's-
great personality, and they're all in together.
It's so cool, Coach. It's so cool. Shawn Nadelen, as Patrick pointed out, the season opens this Sunday at home against North Carolina. Coach, best of luck as the season unfolds. We'll be in touch. Thank you for taking the time for us, as always.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Enjoy it.
That's Coach Shawn Nadelen from Towson. Those are so cool.
I did notice those last
It
night.
was so cool.
And I assumed that there was just one because a lot
Yeah,
of times when they
But not every guy is the same size. I figured there had to be at least a couple that
Fair-
maybe
fair
passed
enough.
around. And then I like the idea of maybe everybody having one.
The
if that
other
was
thing
case.
is that sometimes when you have those headshots that you don't even have like a full jacket.
Right.
It's just sort of down to
Mhm. Oh, so it's possible it's just like a
it's-
sheath.
Yeah, sort of like
Yeah.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
the,
So-
like the old John Clayton ESPN.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for the mom.
Where-
I'm finishing my segment. Right. That is awesome. That is awesome. Well done over there. All right, thumbnail on Towson.
Obviously, there are some new guys in bigger roles with face-offs and on defense and in the cage. The attack is going to be really, really strong. I mean, you look at just having an offense that has Villa Gomez and Weishauer and Ronan Fitzpatrick, and that is really, really good. And so they are, I think, a clear-cut favorite in the CAA. There's some teams in that league that are better this year. Like I thought Fairfield got better last year. I think we're going to see jumps from both Drexel and Hofstra as well.
Okay.
So I think the top of that league is going to be better. Delaware's out now. They've moved on to the A10 for lacrosse and Conference USA for most things. So I think that, if you're Towson, you should be thinking that you have a pretty good chance of making it back to the NCAA tournament. They need to do some damage early to avoid a situation where they're playing in a play-in game or playing the 3 or 2 seed in the first weekend of the tournament, because the league, even though it's better, still isn't going to help enough for them to be able to sort of escape that if there aren't some high-end victories. And certainly there are opportunities with Carolina, with Hopkins, with Virginia, Even some games like Villanova, Navy, potentially Loyola, potentially. There are games that could be helpful for them.
It's not impossible. You're saying that they could find a way into the conversation, but it's still difficult at this point.
They just have to do some stuff early to really. And the other thing that does is that if you can pick off a couple of those higher end games early, maybe that gives you the flexibility in case there is a surprise in your conference tournament.
There's one school from the area that, unfortunately, as of right now, we are not scheduled to hear from today, and that is UMBC. So I do want to spend a minute while we have some time in between coaches sort of talking about expectations for the Retrievers, who also are the one team that, again, is abstaining from participating on, as always, they're not playing for another couple of weeks.
So a team that went 7-5 last year, lost to Albany, the host of the conference tournament in the America East semifinals, picked fourth this year. I mean, they're kind of the projection right now is a team that's going to be mid-pack, certainly one of the top half of the America East, but maybe not a team that's going to match up as well with an Albany, which has some really good pieces back. I think Bryant's going to be pretty good in that league too. So it is, it's one of those teams that we're kind of waiting to see if there's maybe a little bit more gas in the tank than being a 500 or a little north of 500. They've got some interesting guys. Certainly, Dante Marinello on defense had 17 caused turnovers last year, and Connor McMahon, a guy that had a goals against average of less than 10 a game. That's a defense that's done a good job of protecting the goalie over the last couple of years, giving them good shots to see, limited shots to see. So I think their strength is probably, again, going to be on the defensive end. It's a team that was right around maybe a hair below 10 allowed a game and 10 scored a game. So a team that's built more on defense than on offense. And in that league against an Albany who is going to be able to score, there's probably going to be a few games where there's got to be a little bit more there than what they had done in that situation in the past.